Hey folks, welcome to the 20th episode of SCT America podcast. Good morning, good evening to whichever part of the world you are in. Today we have Apoorva join as our esteemed guest. I was fortunate enough to study with her and start my career at the same organization with her in Infosys. So we'll hear a quick intro from Apoorva.
Okay, hello guys. So I'm from the same SCT batch as these guys, 2008, 2012, EC. After that, I worked with Infosys for 4 years and then did my master's in the US in management information systems at university at Buffalo, and then worked with Citibank for a short while, and then moved as a data governance analyst with Publishers Clearinghouse in New York. So it's been almost 4 years with them. That's about it. Yes.
Thanks, Apoorva. I think we'll do a quick round of intro with the host. I guess I am 2008-2012 mechanical engineering SCT, working currently with Deloitte Consulting in mergers and acquisitions, currently in California, San Francisco. And Vishnu, could you give a quick intro?
I am also from the 2008-2012 batch SCT, Electronics and Communication. I was from the B batch, whereas Atul and Apoorva from the A batch, were from the A batch. So after my bachelor's, I did my MBA from IIM Indore, post which I worked for about 3.5 years in sales and marketing functions. Then I decided to come to the US to do a second master's in supply chain management. I graduated in May 2021. And ever since that, I've been working at a company called Bristlecone as a supply chain consultant. So I'm basically involved in supply chain business consulting and strategy consulting. So that's what I do for a living.
Hari, can we have a quick intro?
Yeah. So my name is Hari. I'm also from 2008-2012 batch. I think we're all from the same batch. And I'm working for Amazon now as a software development manager, and I'm in Seattle. Yeah.
Great. Atul?
Hey, so I'm also from 2008-2012 batch, electronics. I did my master's in computer engineering at University of Central Florida, Orlando. Right now I'm working as a software engineer at Cisco.
Great.
നമുക്കിന്ന് ഒരുപാട് സിമിലാരിറ്റി ആണ്. നമ്മൾ എല്ലാവരും സെയിം ബാച്ച്. സ്റ്റാർട്ടഡ് കരിയർ ഇൻ ഇൻഫോസിസ്. അങ്ങനെ ഇൻട്രോ പറയുമ്പോൾ ഭയങ്കര സിമിലർ ആണ്.
അത് കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ട് എല്ലാവരും പല വഴിക്കും. Great. I think Apoorva, just to start with, just a trajectory of how you started in Infosys and then kind of decided to move to the US and like what masters you wanted to take. So a small intro on what gave you like inspiration to move out, and then what was your choices when they wanted to move out?
Move out and doing my masters, I guess I always knew I wanted to do my masters probably in the US. I guess that came because I did my 11th and 12th in Andhra, and going to the US for masters was kind of normalized for me being in that state. So till then, I guess I never gave it any thought at all about doing masters abroad and all that. But 4 years of ECE, I kind of realized that's not my cup of tea. Like, college was fun, undergrad was fun and all that, but it wasn't really what I wanted to do. So Infosys kind of gave me a direction as to what I really wanted to do. Like I was in the SAP BI track, worked with data reporting and all of that, and that really was very interesting to me. And I was like, okay, this is something that I like and probably would want to do things more in the future. So that's when I started looking for courses that would align with what I had done and what I like, and I chose management information systems and applied, and then finally got here. Yes.
What?
Okay. Yeah.
Dara?
Manage information system എന്താണെന്നത്?
So it's kind of like it has a lot of management courses and it has a lot of data plus analytics courses. So more than the management, like I wanted to give it a try to see what really it is, because when I was in India, I always felt the managers didn't really do much and we were slogging. So I kind of wanted to see what it was really, but I kind of realized I like being part of the team, working more on like the actual like queries and the development part than managing people. So then I took courses that were more in line with that, more on the analytics side, on the data side, and yeah, That's how.
And I think MIS gives a good combination of managerial skills and technical bar analytics.
Yes.
And it works across MS and MBA. The
Correct.
course is multidimensional, cross-dimensional.
Yeah, and you can choose your electives and you can, make it as per your whatever you want to do. So that gave me the freedom to choose and pick.
And I clearly feel that like SAP BI, when you first see it from campus, getting out of a job and seeing SAP BI, those visualizations and the way people work with data.
Yes.
And initially, the first 3 weeks when we were completely clueless, where we did not even have an internet connection, and then I actually had to fight for it.
Exactly. Yes. That was the start was a little
There was
rough.
a sandbox where you used to click and then go for a tea and come back, and
Yeah,
then
no.
even then it wouldn't load.
Exactly. That was, when you think about it now, yeah, the start was not really good. But once you get into it and you actually work for a real client and you see the data and how you're helping things about it, was really good. Yeah. So.
Yeah, why I remember this is because there was a very strict, I think, lead we had, and I actually went and fought with him and got this approval.
Yeah,
and
so
the day the approval came, next day I put in my resignation. He was like, "Is this why you came here?"
Well, worked out for us. So yeah.
So
yeah,
how was your experience at Infosys, Apoorva? What were the things that you worked on? I mean, you told about SAP BI.
Yeah, so Infosys 4 years, it was totally on SAP BI, and they have a planning piece also. So it was SAP BI and integrated planning. So it was mostly forecasting and all of that. With
IBP, you mean?
Yeah.
Right.
And then it was all the ETLs that we needed for bringing data into the data warehouse and then reporting. It was mostly, I think, from what I remember, it was all their financial reporting. It's been a while, so I can't really remember, but yes. But it was an interesting project that I was working for. It was Diageo, so that's the parent company of all these liquor brands. So
yes,
the data was interesting, so it was fun. Yeah.
okay.
And just for layman terms, I believe ETL is extraction, transformation, and loading.
Yes. Yeah.
How you take in big data, process it, and put it in a way that an engineer can understand and do analytics on it.
I think Meenakshi was also in ETL, right?
Yes.
Because I remember during her podcast, she mentioned about ETL.
Okay.
I mean, she after graduation, she went directly to Mu Sigma, right? So they're hardcore into analytics. So that's all they do, basically.
Yep.
And ETL, it's like one step before analytics, if I understand, right?
Yeah. It's just bringing the data in, cleansing the data, having it ready, and then you do all that you want to get information out of that data. Yeah.
Right. So
Taking a slight segue, just a query here, technical. I don't know, just in the field, because right now I think we are moving into from analytics to a data lake culture, where ETL or like processing of data is not required. You just have all the data available there. You can just take in and do analytics on it. At least that's my basic understanding.
A lot of time, yes, kind of. It is moving towards that. Like a lot of real-time data is, being fed into the system. There's a lot of tools that you could just report directly on it. Yes, I think there are advantages to that, and there are disadvantages also. But yes, it is moving to that. Yes, that is true.
Atul, any other questions from your side?
Yeah. So, how did you come about choosing this university? Like, I understood. I understood how you chose MIS because it's quite very related to data and stuff like that. But how did you land up at this university? Like, did you have a short list and that kind of stuff?
I had a couple of shortlists because I was looking for these courses as such, and so I applied to Cincinnati. I don't remember. Applied to a couple of colleges, but then I think this was a short course. That was another thing why I kind of went for this. It was, I think,
it was a 1-year course, right?
11-month course, actually. Yeah. So that was another point that I really liked. Like a short, like I've already worked for 4 years. I have quite an experience, but this was giving me all the theoretical knowledge that I needed. Like I knew what to do, but why I was doing it and how I could do it better is what I learned from this course. And I think that 1 year, even though it was a little cramped, but it was good. And so that was, I think, the main reason I picked this, and the fee and everything. Yeah.
So even though it's a 1-year course, was it a STEM course? Like
yeah, it was a STEM course.
Okay.
We did have 36 credits. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting to know, because most MSs here are like what, you can finish it off in 1.5 years, but
1.5
generally
years.
takes 2 years generally. Yeah.
So we could finish it in 1.5 years or 1 year. We could extend it another semester, but that was up to us. So quite a few people did that, but most of us finished it in a year.
So did you take the GRE route while you applied for colleges, or did you not need one?
No, I think at that point of time, all of us needed a GRE course. I think the pandemic kind of made it, like it was optional now. But I think at that point of time, all of us did need a GRE and a TOEFL or an IELTS score. So
Yes.
yeah.
Got it. I think one other question I would have is, like, after completing the 1 year course, so 1 year means you wouldn't have time for internships or anything else, right? So how did you like go for a job hunt and convert those?
But I did have a short internship at one of my professor's company. I think that was during the winter break. So because I was in Buffalo, I think our winter break was much longer than most universities. We had it was mid-December through end of January actually. So
oh wow.
quite a long, because it's really cold. So I guess that's why they gave us that kind of a break. So I had like 1.5 months. So did an internship for a month. But yes, for me, the job hunt was a little tough, because I think that was the year they were not really ready to, take people in who were on the STEM or like CPT, OPT and all of that, because the change in government and all of that was happening. So it was a little tough. So it was, you'd go through interview rounds, go through all the rounds, and then it'll be a reject, or they'll be like, oh, I'm sorry, we are not doing
sponsorship.
Who would need H1 and all that. So it was kind of tough, but it all worked out in the end. Yes.
Nice.
But yes.
So question for you, Apoorva, is that I've seen people come here for masters without work experience. I've seen people come here with work experience, right? That's an ongoing debate that, what works and what doesn't work. So what would you advise based on your experience?
I personally think that maybe a couple of years of work experience is good. At least you kind of have a knowledge of how it really works, because somebody who's right out of college, who's not really worked in a real life setting, I feel like how much ever we do, whatever projects we do in college and all of that, we don't have that outlook, or like we do not look at, like in my case, the data and all that. If we have to run a project, we look at it very, academically. We don't really look at it from a real, life project. So that I feel like if you work for a couple of years, even though it's not something like nothing fancy, but even if you work for a couple of years, you get that perspective as to how to look at a project, how to look at data and all of that. So yes, I think a couple of years is good.
Right. Just to add on, I think it also helps, like working in a corporate setting, how an organization works. And also some people also gain a clarity of purpose. Like, I don't want to do this for the rest of my life, or I really want to do this for the rest of my life. So that gives you, that gives you like an option to choose what your master's is going to be too.
That is very true. Yes. Especially that worked for me. Like I was totally lost after my undergrad. I had no clue. I knew I didn't want to do this, but I did not know what I wanted to do. So a couple of years working in India kind of gave me purpose. Yes.
And there are a few of us like that, even after 8 years, still don't know what we want to do. But yeah, at least some people get purpose.
But എനിക്ക് തോന്നിയിട്ടുള്ളത് ബിടെക് കഴിഞ്ഞ് നേരെ MSO പോയി കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ട് നമ്മൾ ജോലി അപ്ലൈ ചെയ്യുമ്പോൾ നമ്മുടെ റെസ്യൂമെ still blank അല്ലെ? നമ്മൾ ഓക്കെ കുറെ പഠിച്ചു, വാട്ട് ഇസ് ഇൻഡസ്ട്രി എക്സ്പീരിയൻസ്, നമ്മൾ ഒരാൾ ഹയർ ചെയ്യാൻ നോക്കുമ്പോഴേക്ക് ഇറ്റ് ഇസ് സ്റ്റിൽ ഗ്രീൻ. പക്ഷെ 1 or 2 year experience and okay, he has some industry experience.
Exactly.
So the employers will be also comfortable.
Exactly, that's true.
Makes sense. Nice. Hari, is that actually a virtual background or actual Seattle? It looks almost the same.
I wish it's my real home, but ഞാൻ വേണമെങ്കിൽ വാൾപേപ്പർ ഒട്ടി കഴിഞ്ഞു ഭാവി. സിയാറ്റിലോട്ട് മാച്ച് ചെയ്യുന്നില്ലേ മഴ?
ഡാർക്ക്നെസ്, ആ ഒരു ഡിപ്രസിംഗ് മൂഡ് എല്ലാം മാച്ച് ചെയ്യുന്നത്
എല്ലാം മാച്ച് ചെയ്യും. ഇവിടെ സ്പ്രിംഗ് കഴിയാറായി, എന്നിട്ട് ഇപ്പോഴും ഇതേപോലെ പുറത്തേക്ക് ഇറങ്ങാൻ പറ്റില്ല.
Oh, I thought Seattle had really nice summers and spring.
Nice and short summers.
Yeah, very short, yes, but
ഇപ്പോഴും ആയിട്ടില്ല. അടുത്ത മാസം സമ്മർ ആവേണ്ടതാണ് ഒഫീഷ്യലി, ബട്ട് ഇപ്പോഴും മഴ തണുപ്പ്
ഇപ്പൊ വരും, നാളെ വരും എന്ന് പ്രതീക്ഷിച്ചിരിക്കുകയാണ്. I think we talk a lot about work, just taking a step aside, like what are your other hobbies or like traveling across the US? Because we have heard like you have like you are like a pro fridge magnet collector. എവിടെ പോയാലും അതിന്റെ പ്രൂഫ് ലൈഫിൽ കൊണ്ടു നടക്കും.
Oh, everybody proof കൊണ്ട് നടക്കണല്ലോ. I do like collecting magnets, and then my magnet boards were like getting overboard, so now I started collecting pins from places. So yeah, so that's. But then yeah, I do like traveling, and that's one good thing about US. It's so much more accessible. It's so much more easier to get to places, do things. So yeah, that I do like traveling. Gotten into hiking and all of that. So yes.
Have you been to Northwest?
Yes, I've been to Pacific Northwest. I've been to Seattle. Preeti is there, so yeah, I've been there, and I've been to Portland, that area. I haven't been much to Cali. Like the only place I've been to is San Diego, but nowhere else. Yeah.
Have you ever been to Texas?
No, actually, I haven't. That's in my list, but
You are most welcome to Texas.
ലിസ്റ്റിൽ കുറച്ച് താഴെയാണ് ലൈക്ക് എത്താൻ കുറച്ച് സമയം എടുക്കും. എല്ലാം കവർ ചെയ്തിട്ട് ബാക്കി സമയം ഉണ്ടെങ്കിൽ
Right. So one thing I wanted to ask you is, Apoorva, so when you decided upon your masters, right, what were the things that worked in favor, like support from family, or were they okay with you leaving the job and coming for a masters?
Oh yes. For me, masters, like I knew I wanted to do my masters, but more than that, my parents were pushing for masters. Like I knew I had to do it even before I finished my undergrad, so I had to do it. That there was no option that it was to do this or do that. So I spent a couple of years, fooling around, trying to tell them that I'll do my CAT and everything. Went for coaching, did all that, went and wrote CAT, but that was all just simply trying to push the time. That's all. But I guess by the end of 4 years in Infosys, when people started it was like extended college time, to be frank, because there were
like a huge batch of SCT in Chennai.
Actually, എനിക്ക് ഇൻഫോസിസ് ജോയിൻ ചെയ്തപ്പോ ഞാൻ ഒരു ടൂർ പോകുന്ന പോലെയായിരുന്നു.
150 പേര് മൈസൂർ ആദ്യം, അത് കഴിഞ്ഞ് ഇവരൊരു ബാച്ച് ആയിട്ടാണ് ചെന്നൈക്ക് ഷിഫ്റ്റ് ചെയ്തത്. അത് ചെന്നൈയിൽ നിന്ന് ഒരുപാട് പുറത്തെ മഹിന്ദ റിസർച്ച് വാലി, ലൈക്ക് ഇറ്റ് വാസ് ലൈക്ക് SCT out of SCT.
ഹോട്ടൽ റൂംസ് പോലെയുള്ള സ്റ്റേ എല്ലാവർക്കും, അത് ഭയങ്കര ഭംഗി, തിയേറ്റർ, ഫുഡ് ഇതെല്ലാം.
ഡ്രസ്സൊക്കെ വലിച്ചെടുത്തിട്ട് പോയിട്ട് തിരിച്ചു വരുമ്പോൾ മടക്കി വെച്ചേക്കും.
Exactly. So it was really nice. So I never felt like, I was like, okay, it was all comfortable and didn't want to, do anything at that point of time. But by the end of 4 years, I think people started moving out and moving back to their hometowns and everything. And I was like, it's time to actually do things. So that's when I was like, okay. And my parents were like, okay, finally.
Like the courtship period is done. Now I should get serious.
Yes.
How long you worked for Infosys? 1 year?
4 years, actually.
2 years.
Yeah.
And I think for context, he also comes from a family of academic overachievers, I believe. So pushing for masters would have been a default choice from her parents.
So you mentioned that in Hyderabad, like in Andhra and all, there's this culture of MS. Like, why do you think there's a culture like that? Like, I don't think we have we don't have as much of like everyone has to go for MS, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Not go ahead.
Go ahead.
Just one take on it. It's more like if you're born in Kerala, you have to do medicine or engineering. If you're born in Andhra, you have to go to the US. It's not MS or MTech or MBA or whatever. You have to be in the US.
Just somehow get to.
It's only Kerala. I feel like that's around India, right? Like, or at least for our generation, it was just engineering and medicine. There wasn't really a lot, but I think it's changing a little now. But I don't know why it's like that in Andhra. I don't know why, but I guess it's just
a point of difference would be just be mostly to central India to north. There is a lot more focus on commerce, at least like colleges like Sri Lanka College of Commerce or LSR, or they're have like 99% cutoff for +2 for commerce.
Yeah. But then again, that's just, I feel like small pockets. In general, it's still.
That's like a default choices.
I think that's regional cultural thing. ഇപ്പൊ നമ്മുടെ നാട്ടിൽ നിന്ന് ഇപ്പൊ ഓരോ വലുതായി, ഓക്കെ അധികം ജോലി കിട്ടുന്നില്ല, നീ ഗൾഫിൽ പോ അല്ലെ. അപ്പൊ ആന്ധ്ര ഓക്കെ നീ വലുതായി, ടൈം ടു ഗോ ടു US. നിനക്ക് എന്താ US പോകാൻ പറ്റാത്തത്?
Andhra ആണെങ്കിൽ US, Bihar ആണെങ്കിൽ central government job and you get kidnapped for a wedding.
I was born and brought up in Bihar. I was not here.
I mean, you didn't get a government job, that's why you were not kidnapped, but Okay, just for fun.
ഇവിടെ നമുക്കൊരു ഫ്ലാഗ് വെക്കാം ട്വിറ്റർ പോലെ. Is it right or wrong?
But yeah, like even in Andhra, I think after your 10th standard, 11th and 12th is all about coaching. So it's either engineering or medicine, and then everybody who does that like will very few actually go for masters in the country. Like most of them do go abroad, and it's the same for medicine also. You'll see a lot of people writing USMLE and trying for chances abroad for residency in other countries. But why, I'm not sure. Yes, that's one.
I think after Kota, I think, or even ahead of Kota,
Yeah,
Telangana and Andhra is like a big
hub for
share of IIT conversion, especially for undergrad.
Oh yes.
I'm getting peer pressure. നേരത്തെ പോഡ്കാസ്റ്റിൽ വന്ന എല്ലാവരും MS നെ കുറിച്ച് ഒരുപാട് സംസാരിക്കും. എനിക്കാണെങ്കിൽ ബിടെക് മാത്രമേ എന്റെ കയ്യിലുള്ളൂ.
എനിക്ക് MS ഇല്ലടാ.
നിനക്ക് MBA ഇല്ല കയ്യില്.
ഇന്ത്യ ഉണ്ട്. രണ്ട് മാസ്റ്റേഴ്സ് കൊണ്ട് ഇരിപ്പുണ്ട്. രണ്ട് മാസ്റ്റേഴ്സ് കൊണ്ട് ആൾക്കാർ ഇരിപ്പുണ്ട് വിഷ്ണു.
എനിക്ക് തോന്നി അതിലോട്ട് വരും.
So I have one like the question about your career. So what is your role right now? Like there's a lot of words in that heading, like data governance. So can you just break it down?
Yeah, so it's data governance. I guess every company has their own way of defining their role they play and what it's really, the responsibilities. So it's mostly the data governance team. We make sure that any new data that's coming into like our data lake or our warehouse or our staging areas, it all goes through us so that there's one single truth. Like there's one single definition for a particular term. It's not like we call something something for some reason, and then finance team refers to it in a different way, analytics calls it in a different way, and then you have like 100 million different versions of the same thing. So we're basically trying to make sure that there's one single source of truth, and it all should go through us so that it's all normalized and in a clear fashion for everybody to access. So that is what the data governance team does. And my role as such, we make sure that all the data that's coming in, we make sure it's all clean. We have clear definitions for everything. Any new data that's coming in, we make sure that we review it. It's more like a business analyst / data analyst role, actually. So we work with actual teams, the front end teams, we work with the analytics teams, we understand what they need, create the data models, the transformation logics that would be need to transform this data. And then we hand it over to the development team and the QA team, and they actually do the work. And then we help test it out and make sure that everything's in line. So that's one part of it. Correct.
Just as a follow-up, does the data governance also include the compliance requirements, like where does the data lie, or where can copies of data reside, or ensuring all the data requirements?
Right. So we do have a different compliance team also, but we work closely with them to make sure that they define the rules and we make sure that's implemented. Yes.
Got it. Because compliance and governance also is hand in hand.
Yes. Yes.
And trouble all the other project teams.
Not troubling. We're trying to make
help.
things easy.
Try to make their life easier, in your words.
So my question is, so all of these activities, are they done completely in-house, or do you do what you used to do in Infosys, or projects come from clients and you kind of outsource?
It's all in-house, actually. It's for our own project. It's for our own product. So there's nothing that's come. We're not doing it. We're not outsourcing it, or we're not doing it for other clients. It's all for our in-house product.
So how has that transition been, like working in a services company to a product?
I feel like that was one thing when I was at Infosys. I was sure that I didn't want to work for a services company any longer because it was difficult to understand. Another thing, it could also be because we were part of an offshore team, never really had a complete picture of what was happening. We were just given bits and pieces of information that was just necessary to complete our task at hand at that point. So I never really understood what I was doing in the big picture of it. Like I was doing something, yes, and they made us feel like, this is the end of the world. Like you have to do it, otherwise everything's gonna fall apart. So, but here as a product company, I feel like I have a very good understanding of what's happening, why I'm doing something, how me doing something is going to make or break things. So I feel like I do my work better, and yeah, think that's the main thing. Like, so
I mean, yeah, the important why I'm doing this. Other product companies, it's more
exactly.
than service companies.
Like an
Yeah.
offshoring പലപ്പോഴും ആൾക്കാർ മനസ്സിലാക്കാത്തൊരു point ആണ്. Like if you give a context of why you are doing something in
Yeah.
addition to what you're doing or what you should do, it actually increases the quality of output that you get from them
Totally.
a lot more.
Yeah.
Because ours is one company who handles their offshoring pretty well. So context and you can feel that difference. Like once you give that context and the output you get or the kind of products you get is really different.
Yeah. I feel like there were a few people while I was working at Infosys who, if you asked, they would give you the context and that would really help you. So yes, that was another thing when I came here and I was the one who had to write the requirement documents and all. I always had that in mind, like if there's somebody who's reading who doesn't have the complete context of it, would still understand, because half the times I didn't understand my business requirement. And I was like, okay, I can do what is written in here, but why I'm doing it was something that is always lost. Yeah.
But maybe just a couple of lines on what your company does as well, like Publishers Clearinghouse.
Yes. So it originated as a direct mail company. Their model is similar to what, if you remember, Reader's Digest in India, like it was something similar. So it started as, it had a magazine and merchandise subscriptions. You could subscribe to them, and with that, you also have a chance to win. You could enter into sweepstakes and you could win. It's not necessary that you need to buy stuff to win. So there are two different things. It's just trying to engage more people into our system. But that was how it started. We've slowly moved a lot of things to digital marketing. So we do have a e-commerce site. There's a lot of digital advertising and a lot of first party data. So we do a lot of surveys and all of that. And then what else is there? Yeah, that's
It's almost an ecosystem now.
Yeah, actually. It's changed
Nice.
a lot. Like,
so do you get free goodies from any of these?
We used to, but like 2 years at home, nothing's been happening.
So another question from my side is, so what is the kind of digitalization that is happening in your industry, like in the publishing industry?
I didn't get that. Digitalization as in everything.
Digitalization in the sense that people are moving from paper to digital formats, right? So is that happening in your company?
Yeah, it is happening in our company, and that is what we're like really trying hard, because in every way it's cheaper for us to be digital than be a direct marketing company. But again, I feel like it also plays like a lot of our audience is a little more towards the older side, so it's a little difficult, but things are changing. We are trying to make the transition easier for them, so it's like we're pushing it, but it's happening, but slow, I guess. Yeah.
I think physical was difficult for switching. So when it becomes digital, it becomes easier to get faithful or sticky customers.
Right. Yes. So yeah, now it's moving a lot. We are doing a lot of email marketing. We still have a huge, client base, like loyal client base. So, but then there are still people.
Email ID
in the email ID.
Marketing email filter.
It should all end up. And if you guys haven't signed in, I don't think you would get any spam.
But actually, എനിക്ക് ഒരുപാട് സ്പാം കിട്ടുന്നുണ്ട്. ഞാൻ റീസെന്റ് ഒരു മോർഗേജിന് അപ്ലൈ ചെയ്തു. മോർഗേജിന് അപ്ലൈ ചെയ്തതിനു ശേഷം എനിക്ക് എവിടെ നിന്നൊക്കെയാണ് അഡ്വർടൈസ് വരുന്നത്.
Like you are in the database of every firm that has a credit line for mortgage.
എല്ലാവരും ഓക്കെ ലോൺ പിടിപ്പിക്കണോ, നമുക്ക് വിൻഡോ മാറ്റിയാലോ, നമുക്ക് പുതിയൊരു മാട്രസ് മേടിച്ചാലോ.
Selling of data has become a very big industry. നമ്മുടെ ഇമെയിലും കോൺടാക്ട് എല്ലാം എടുത്തിട്ട്.
Yeah.
But then അതുകൊണ്ടാണ് ഇപ്പൊ എല്ലാ ഫോംസിലും താഴെ ഉള്ളത് do not sell my data എന്നുള്ള ഓപ്ഷൻ. നമ്മൾ അഡീഷണൽ എഫർട്ട് എടുത്ത് ക്ലിക്ക് ചെയ്യുമ്പോൾ അതിനകത്ത് പിന്നെ രണ്ടൊന്ന് കൺഫർമേഷൻ ചെയ്യും. So that are you really sure?
Well, all that was like a big project for us, like that was California Customer Data Protection Act, right? Yeah. CCPA. Yeah. Yes.
Nice.
And California protecting the consumers.
ഇത്രയും ടാക്സ് വരുന്ന കൺസ്യൂമേഴ്സ് അധികം ഇല്ലല്ലോ, അവര് പ്രൊട്ടക്ഷൻ എങ്കിലും തരണ്ട്. But the Apoorva, like you have lived in the east and then traveled a lot to the west. So how do you find the contrast between both? Do you find any contrast?
Well, I think I guess there is some contrast.
He's trying to be very politically correct.
അല്ല ഉള്ള പറഞ്ഞു സിയാറ്റിനെ പറ്റി ഉള്ളത് പറഞ്ഞു. ഹരി ഹേർട്ട് ആവില്ല, ഞങ്ങൾ ആവശ്യത്തിന് പറഞ്ഞിട്ടുണ്ട്.
Not like that, but in general, I feel like in New York and all, nobody really has the time to be nice and all of that. You know, you go get your things done and move on. Like nobody's really like, there's no pleasantries, no niceties like that. But the more you move towards the west, I feel like people are all like extra nice and extra sweet.
Nicer.
Yeah, I don't know if they're really genuinely nice or not, but at least on your face they are. So
ഇത് എന്നെ ഉദ്ദേശിച്ചാണ്, എന്നെ തന്നെ ഉദ്ദേശിച്ചാണ്, എന്നെ മാത്രം
so that is something that I felt like that's a big difference that I've noted. But other than that,
I mean, something I always noted was as you move east, again, it could be skewed data set I've seen. People dress more uptight, more sweet, more in suits or more in formal attire, and west is more casual. That's also because there are more tech industry here.
Yeah, I guess that's
Tech versus
to do with
business,
the
right?
industry.
Business, right?
Right. New York is more finance and everything, so that's why they dressed up like that. But the West is more tech. So
yeah, I still remember going in a 3-piece suit onto a client site in Seattle, and they were like in t-shirt and jeans. They're like, "Why are you dressed like this?" So that's when I started noticing this change. And West is more casual and East is more uptight.
പക്ഷെ അതൊരു പുതിയ പഴയ കൾച്ചർ അല്ല. ലൈക് സ്റ്റീവ് ജോബ്സിന്റെ ഒരു തുടങ്ങിയതാണല്ലോ. ഓക്കെ, CEOs നമുക്ക് സ്യൂട്ട് ഇടേണ്ട ആവശ്യമില്ല. അതിനുശേഷമാണ് പിന്നെയുള്ള ടെക് ആൾക്കാരൊക്കെ കുറച്ചും കൂടി
Zuckerberg, Bill Gates, everyone started following the same suit.
So one question I have is like, how do you manage your life? I mean, I assume that you're staying alone. So
that should be a big question.
I'm not staying alone. I have roommates. So yeah, but managing my life as in
I'm staying so far away from home. It's been like 5 years away from India. Right? So
I think that's not really staying away from home was not really a problem as such, because I think I've been staying away from home since undergrad, so like from 18 years onwards. So it's like that's totally fine. But the only thing is that I would like it if I could, travel back home every year at least. And pandemic and visa issues and everything, that is kind of annoying that you can't. But at least all these video calls and everything has helped. So I think it's good. Like
I think we should be very careful with such questions. It is politically incorrect എന്ന് ആൾക്കാർക്ക് തോന്നും. ആർക്ക് വേണമെങ്കിലും ഇവിടെ വന്ന് ഇൻഡിപെൻഡന്റ് ആയിട്ട് ജീവിക്കാൻ പറ്റും. നമ്മുടെ നാട് പോലെ അല്ലല്ലോ, കുറച്ചും കൂടി റിലേറ്റീവ്ലി.
Like she said, right, when I was back in Nigeria, ആ സമയത്ത് WhatsApp video call wasn't that popular. അപ്പോൾ ഒരു കുറച്ച് സ്ട്രെസ്ഫുൾ ആയിരുന്നു. I mean 2014 to 16 I really used to struggle, like I couldn't connect back home. പിന്നെ ഇപ്പൊ യുഎസിൽ വന്നതിന് ശേഷം with video call and all, I talk to my parents every day. I think it's kind of becoming more easier now that we have so many ways to communicate back home. So
right.
Like Nigeria, can you get free video calls when there are ransom calls.
It's all about comfortable അല്ലേ? നമ്മളിപ്പോ എവിടെയാണെങ്കിലും ഇപ്പൊ നൈജീരിയ ഒരു ആഫ്രിക്കൻ കൺട്രി ആണെങ്കിൽ സേഫ്റ്റി ഒരു ഇഷ്യൂ ആണ്. എനിക്കറിയാം ഇതിന്റെ കുറച്ചും കൂടി
JD എഴുതിയിട്ടുണ്ട്, up to 2 ransoms will be taken care of the company, post that it's all personal expenses, won't be reimbursed.
Seriously?
I wish not to.
അവിടെ ചില കമ്പനീസ് അങ്ങനെ ചെയ്യാറുണ്ട്. That's what I've heard.
It's not that it will happen, it's just that it's covering for something that can happen.
Okay.
ഇത് ആൾക്കാരുണ്ട്, ഇത് മനഃപൂർവ്വം ആൾക്കാർക്ക് പൈസ കൊടുത്ത് ഒന്ന് കിഡ്നാപ്പ് ചെയ്യാൻ പറയുന്ന ടീംസും ഉണ്ട് അവിടെ. So there are all kinds of people there.
Trying to be politically correct, but yeah.
എന്തൊക്കെ നോക്കണല്ലോ അവരെ ചോദ്യം ചോദിക്കുമ്പോൾ പൊളിറ്റിക്കൽ കറക്റ്റ്നെസ് ഒക്കെ എല്ലാം
These are all personal opinions and not professional.
That's fair, yeah. But other than that, I don't think staying here, I feel like as a woman as such, I feel like I feel more safe here. I can, like I can travel at any point of time. I don't have to like keep looking behind, like who's that person walking right behind me? Like, oh, it's past 6, 7.
The guy in front of you would be looking behind.
Okay, at least I don't have to be scared. So yes.
So how is women at work different than in India and US?
Sorry, what?
Women at work. ഇതൊരു ഞങ്ങളുടെ എല്ലാ കമ്പനീസിലുള്ള മൂവ്മെന്റ് ആണല്ലോ women at work. അപ്പോൾ ഇന്ത്യയിൽ ഒരു woman ആയിട്ട് വർക്ക് ചെയ്യുന്നതിലും US-ൽ ഒരു woman ആയിട്ട് വർക്ക് ചെയ്യുന്നതിലും ഡിഫറൻസ് തോന്നി?
That I think I've been lucky enough in India. Like, I never really like faced a problem as such. My managers and all were pretty nice. So I feel like, but I have seen it. It's very difficult for you to rise, step ahead as a woman in India. It's still like you have to be like that vocal. You have to, I guess,
I mean,
manifest.
there is a glass ceiling unless you are extraordinary.
Yes, like, or at least, or that if you're not that vocal, you'll be just taken for granted. But yeah, I think. But then I think I've been lucky in that way. I've had good managers in India and here, so yeah.
I think a big change that's happening globally, especially in Indian Asian countries also, like companies have actually started putting a gender diversity ratio across levels, like in leadership, middle management, and lower management, in their annual report publicly to the shareholders. So they have to bind to that word. It's not like a blind promise they keep. So
Right.
that helps in like circumventing some of these if they do exist in people's psychology.
Yeah, so in Europe and all, there's this thing, they're starting this concept of forced paternity leave. So let's say that a woman has a child, they have to take maternity leave, right? It's not a choice for them. So during that time, other men can actually grow in the company faster.
Right.
So
Productivity, like household productivity.
yeah, exactly. So what European companies are doing, they're forcing men to take that time off, like take like 6 months off, so that in when you look at it in totality, there's no extra upper hand to men. So those kind of things are really, really nice to see. Yeah.
ആക്ച്വലി അത് വലിയൊരു പോയിന്റ് ആണ്. പല വുമനും ഇപ്പൊ ഓക്കെ പ്രഗ്നൻസി കഴിഞ്ഞ് കുട്ടീനെ നോക്കാൻ വേണ്ടി അപ്പൊ വുമൺ ആണ് വീട്ടിലിരിക്കുന്നത്, അപ്പൊ ആണ് ഓഫീസിൽ പോകും. ഇന്ത്യയിലെ എക്സ്പെക്ടേഷൻ അതായത് കൊണ്ട് പല ആൾക്കാരെ ഹയർ ചെയ്യുമ്പോൾ ഓക്കെ ആർ യു മാരീഡ്, ദെൻ ഓക്കെ എടുക്കുന്നില്ല ബിക്കോസ് ഓക്കെ യു ഹാവ് എ കിഡ്, യു ഹാവ്
Right, yeah.
men is taking care, then the other person can go forward.
But there are some companies, I think, again, not advertising, but again, Deloitte is one such company which has specific targeted programs for hiring of people after maternity leave.
Okay.
Or bringing them back to work so that they get a smooth transition into where they were. So because after they are coming from a gap or they have to leave their job for maternity,
Right.
there are different companies have different programs which have targeted hiring on those just to ensure that some of this is taken care of. And today's world, all of these are like companies are being looked at a very close lens, because with blind and with fish lens, fish eye and everything, like all of these become public. You can't hide any of these HR policies.
ഇപ്പൊ ഹൈഡ് ചെയ്യാൻ ഭയങ്കര ബുദ്ധിമുട്ട്. പക്ഷെ ഐ ഹൈലി റെക്കമെൻഡ് ബ്ലൈൻഡ് വായിക്കരുത്. ഇറ്റ്സ് വെരി ഡിപ്രസിംഗ് പ്ലേസ്. ഞാൻ അൺഇൻസ്റ്റാൾ ചെയ്തു.
It's very depressing, blind lighting. It's like
അവിടെ വരുന്ന ആൾക്കാർ ഓക്കെ നമ്മുടെ ലൈഫിൽ എല്ലാം നല്ലതാണെങ്കിൽ നമുക്ക് ബ്ലൈൻഡിൽ പോകേണ്ട ആവശ്യമില്ല. പ്രോബ്ലം വരുമ്പോഴേ നമ്മൾ ബ്ലൈൻഡിൽ പോയി പോസിറ്റീവ് ഹാവ് ദിസ് പ്രോബ്ലം. അപ്പൊ നമ്മൾ വായിക്കുന്നത് സെറ്റ് ഓഫ് പ്രോബ്ലംസ് മാത്രമാണ്.
And also
നല്ലത് വായിക്കാൻ ഗ്ലാസ് ഡോർ ഉണ്ടല്ലോ. Read both and take what you want.
Yes.
Yeah, the thing with blind is like there are a lot of overachievers trying to show that they've achieved a lot, and we are only seeing the top of the cream of the cream.
Exactly.
And we can't.
So true.
Yeah, we can't compare ourselves to them, right? That's not a good.
That
comparison.
is more like the LinkedIn updates, right? When someone gets a really good position, they write a long story. When someone gets a mediocre position, they just say started a new position. And all the bad things. I didn't get a job for 2 years. Now you see a lot of them, but before the pandemic, you didn't see any of them.
Yeah.
No, that's true.
So LinkedIn, like everyone in my network is like growing, and nobody's the same company.
I feel like LinkedIn is becoming like Facebook nowadays. Like there's just
It has a lot
story and too much sappiness happening there. Like it's becoming less of a
Professional
job-related professional thing and more of a.
And the role of LinkedIn also has evolved a lot, right? Rather than just for a professional network, it has become an official recruiting platform.
Yeah,
and
that,
then
yes, is good. No, that is.
And then it also gives a flavor of what people are,
right.
Rather than just their profile, their updates, what they react to. All those are being captured now and being given to recruiters as a data point.
So one.
Unfortunately, ഞാനും 15 മിനിറ്റ് യൂസ് ചെയ്യുന്നത് പോസ്റ്റ് ചെയ്യുന്നു.
A lot of. I don't think I haven't seen any of at least people sitting here do any of it, but I see a lot of sob stories on LinkedIn, and I feel like maybe it's not the right platform for it all, but yeah.
So one tip I have for this LinkedIn is when recruiters reach out to you, even if you don't like the job, hit a reply, because for one, their email credit doesn't gets replenished, like it doesn't get wasted, and second, LinkedIn sees that you're active with the network, so you get recommended to more recruiters. So even if it's a job you don't like, just say no, I'm not interested. It actually makes a big difference.
And the third is the recruiter works for different organizations, so even if this is something that you don't like, a relationship can get you a better post that you like in the future.
Correct.
Exactly. That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
ഞാൻ എപ്പോഴും റിപ്ലൈ ചെയ്തിട്ട് പറയും ഓക്കെ മേ ബി ഐ വിൽ റീകൺസിഡർ ഇൻ അനദർ 2 years 1 year. അപ്പൊ അവരും പറയും ഓക്കെ ഐ റീച്ച് ഔട്ട് ടു യു അഗൈൻ ഇൻ അനദർ 1 year.
Yeah.
ആ കണക്ഷൻ നമ്മൾ കീപ്പ് ചെയ്യും.
Yeah. No, for all of that, I do like agree that LinkedIn is really good. Just it's no longer you just randomly applying to all these companies, but talking to somebody in person, that really helps.
Yeah, I know we are almost at the end, I think last 6 minutes, but I'd just like to take it back to Infosys for a moment.
Sure.
Like, I remember, like, all of us used to go with 3 cycles of trainings, and then last stream was assigned to us without, I think, confirmation from us. Right. But are there people can build skills or do something in the initial phases so that they align on a stream that they like, or change in future, like something or they're more passionate about?
I don't think Infosys lets you do that. There's no option as such, right? You're just posed into one stream, and I think that also depends on what they have a need for. Like what they have actively they have a gap for, and they need more people. They just go based on that. So I don't think there's anything that we can do as such at that point of time to pick a stream or anything. But I do feel like right now, with all the resources that we have at hand, like Udemy and all these, there's so many
SCT North America podcast.
We also have our own curated materials.
Yeah. Well, I think answering a question, I think Ashwini Maday's the face is on. It's like she was also trying to change the stream, change development. Like, it's like okay, you are here, you're stuck here. I mean,
part of it is demand driven. I completely understand because they have huge demand and they have to meet it for it.
Yes.
So I guess with like if there is something that you really like, you could always learn by yourself whenever there's time and then switch. I don't think there's any point staying in a company like that for 4 years like I did, but
that is when you know what to do in your masters.
Exactly.
But I want to call out something, right? നമ്മൾ ഒരു echo chamber ആയിക്കൊണ്ടിരിക്കുകയാണ് ഇവിടെ. നമ്മൾ സർവീസസ് ബേസ് കമ്പനീസിനെ വളരെ മോശമായിട്ട് പറയുന്ന പോലെ ഫീൽ ചെയ്യുന്നു.
No, I'm not saying it's bad. It's good.
Really good skills you get from there.
In your podcast ഈ topics വരാറുണ്ട്. അപ്പോൾ എനിക്ക് അത് just call out ചെയ്യണം. Like we all started from service based companies. It has some positive.
Like wherever we are, it's one of the reasons where we started from, right?
Totally. No, that's
why pain points. Right? It's like service based.
I feel like for me, my whole life's direction was given to me based on that company. So, and then I had some of my most amazing times in life there. So I have absolutely
and I'm still working in the service industry.
ഞാൻ സ്റ്റാർട്ട് ചെയ്ത ഞാൻ എപ്പോഴും ഇൻഫോസിസ് എന്ന് പറയാം. പക്ഷെ ചില ആൾക്കാർ 2.5 മാസം അവിടെ ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നുള്ളത് ഇത് പറയാൻ ഇറ്റ്സ് ഓക്കെ. ആ 2.5 മാസം അവിടെ വർക്ക് ചെയ്തുകൊണ്ടാണ് എനിക്ക് മനസ്സിലായത്.
But the investment in people is big. Like നിങ്ങൾ ഓൺ സൈറ്റ് പോകും, US ഒരു കരിയർ വേണം, ഇങ്ങനെയൊക്കെ ആലോചിച്ച് like there were 2 days where you had to wear tie so that you know how to tie a tie. Like അത്രയും ലെവലിൽ സോഫ്റ്റ്വെയർ ആസ്പെക്ട്സ് കൺസിഡർ ചെയ്യാം.
Right.
Infosys training was one of the best training. It's very comprehensive.
Yes.
Crash course പോലെ. It's like good.
4 കൊല്ലം പഠിച്ചില്ലെങ്കിൽ 3 മാസം പഠിച്ചിട്ട് നമ്മൾ പണിയെടുക്കും.
Exactly. I had never coded in my life before I came to Infosys, but those 3 months were amazing. Like all their teachers and everything, like
especially the tutorials.
It was amazing. Yes. So all of that, and plus the Infosys campus is great. So the Mysore campus.
Even featured in KGF as a parliament.
Actually, KGF കണ്ടപ്പോൾ ഞാൻ എൻ്റെ ഫ്രണ്ടോട് പറഞ്ഞു ഇത് Infosys ആണല്ലോ.
Okay,
it's a great feeling to be in that Mysore campus.
Yes.
So state of the art.
If you've been there in those campuses, when you come to the US and you see a lot of things, like at least architecture-wise, as companies and all, you don't feel that much because you've already seen a lot of these things.
I've been here, I've done it.
Yes. So that was one thing. Yes. So yeah, no shade at all to Infosys. Infosys like that. To begin your career, it's an amazing place. Yes.
Yeah. But Apoorva, I'm not putting you on spot. ഞാൻ general ഞങ്ങളുടെ പോഡ്കാസ്റ്റിനെ കുറിച്ച് പറഞ്ഞാൽ like നമ്മൾ ഇടയ്ക്കിടയ്ക്ക് IT discussions വരാറുണ്ട്. അപ്പോൾ
and product companies are all are not good too. Like work life balance എല്ലായിടത്തും ഉണ്ടാവുന്നുള്ളത് ഒരു myth ആണ്. Depends on what team you are in and what role you are in.
And I also feel like when you start your career, right, like the first few years, you are also learning and you are at the bottommost level. So the way you're treated is also different, The more you progress and the higher you get, it changes whichever company you are in. So I guess at that point of time, it's just that you are just the lowest rank in that company. So that's just how it is.
And I have the most cliche interview question to you. Like,
Yes.
in the next 5 years, where do you see yourself?
I do not know. To be frank, I do not know.
അതിന് മറുപടി, this is not an interview, this is a podcast.
I think, but I'll let you know in 5 years.
Actually, I'll let you know in 5 years. Like, I really do not know with all that's happening. I do not know where I will be. You know, if I want to stay here, if I want to move to another country, go back home. So it's all a little up in the air right now. But yes.
One final question that I had, Apoorva, I think, how valid are communication skills in the industry, or especially when you come to the US? Because I see that you've been very polished in the way you speak English or Hindi, right from when we were in undergrad, right? So how important do you feel is, you know,
That portion undergrad? Okay, right, sorry.
No, but I do feel it is important. It is really important, especially when you're working in the US, because you have to communicate with people. You need to put your ideas across. It doesn't matter how good you are technically or not, but putting across your idea to a group of people is just as important as you knowing how to do your job. So I think it is important, very, very important, I would say.
Especially outside India, I feel, that becomes more important, because sometimes in India, your work speaks for you. But outside, you have to be vocal, because there are people around as good as you there and here, but people expect you to own your work and sell your work. So
yeah, exactly. Like, you have to be vocal for your work if you really want to progress. Like, you could always do your work, you know, just finish it, go home. But if you really want to get ahead, I think you need to be vocal.
And same as if you need breaks also, or if you are really like struggling for a schedule, you have to be vocal. They don't.
Yes,
they expect you to be vocal.
Like, nobody's gonna, like, you have to look out for yourself. So and I feel like a lot of people are very receptive here. So if there is a problem that you're facing, or there's something going on, you reach out to your, you know, managers, your bosses. Most of them are very receptive. They would hear you out. They try to help you. So
yeah, I had to add on the communication doesn't really mean English, right?
Oh no.
English കാരണം നമ്മുടെ നാട്ടിൽ നിന്ന് കൂടുതൽ നമ്മൾ ഇംഗ്ലീഷ് പ്രാക്ടീസ് ചെയ്യാത്ത ആൾക്കാരാണ്, especially if somebody is born and brought up in Kerala, right? നമുക്ക് ആ ഒരു we are hesitant to talk. I think it's okay to talk slow, right?
Right, completely, yes.
But you have to articulate it well.
Right.
Here it is actually the opposite, right? If you talk fast, people don't understand it better.
Yes. Like, every slang is different. Like, India,
I think we are about the call is about to close.
Yeah, let's wrap up.
Let's wrap up. Thank you so much, Apoorva, for bringing in such an engaging discussion and taking up the time.